Hello guys, today we are going to discuss about Jipmer Puducherry for the INICET January 2021 session. So we will be discussing about the closing rank cutoff for branch wise, category wise for the institute. Uh, as we know that the INICET consists of all the other aims and other colleges also. So if you want to check the category wise cutoff, that too branch wise for the aims Delhi, for the aims Bhopal and Rishikesh, Jodhpur, or other institutes, you can just navigate to the previous videos, or otherwise I'll put the videos link in the description box. You can just check the description box. You will get the cutoffs over there also. So let's start the video for the Jipmer Puducherry without doing any delay. For anesthesia, for general category, the cutoff was 334. One more time I would like to repeat that this cutoff belongs to January 2021 session, right? So that you will get a kind of idea that what could be the expected rank for your desirable branch for July 2021 INICET. So for anesthesia general category, cutoff was closing rank cutoff was 334. For EWS there were no seat in that session. For OBC the closing rank cutoff was 877. For SC category closing rank cutoff was 1578. For ST category the closing rank, there was no seat for ST category. For community medicine there were no seat for EWS, SC and ST category, but for general category the closing rank cutoff was 1106 rank, and for OBC the closing rank cutoff was 911. For dermatology, no seat for general, EWS and ST. There were only seat for OBC and ST. So for OBC the closing rank cutoff for dermatology in Jipmer Puducherry was 219 rank, whereas for SC category the closing rank cutoff was 1128. For nuclear medicine, no seats at all were that time. Only SC category seats were there, and for that the closing rank cutoff was 2598. For emergency medicine, for general category the closing rank cutoff was 216. There were no seats for EWS. 345 was the closing rank cutoff for OBC. 3434 was the closing rank cutoff for SC, and no seat for ST. For general medicine, 37 was the closing rank cutoff for general. 120 was the closing rank cutoff for EWS. No seat for OBC. 1004 was the closing rank cutoff for SC, and no seat for ST. For Opthal, 302 was the closing rank cutoff for general. 866 was the closing rank cutoff for EWS, no seat for OBC and SC, whereas 7509 was the closing rank cutoff for ST. For orthopedics, 221 was the closing rank cutoff for general, no seat for EWS. 373 was the closing rank cutoff for OBC. 2094 was the closing rank cutoff for SC, and no seat for ST. For ENT, no seat for general. 529 was the closing rank cutoff for EWS. 479 was the closing rank cutoff for OBC. No seat for SC. 7612 was the closing rank cutoff for ST. For OBG, 218 was the closing rank cutoff for general. 655 was the closing rank cutoff for EWS. No seat for OBC. 2486 was the closing rank cutoff for SC, and 4564 was the closing rank cutoff for ST. Pediatrics, no seat for general. 130 was the closing rank cutoff for EWS. 240 was the closing rank cutoff for OBC. 1493 was the closing rank cutoff for SC, and 2918 was the closing rank cutoff for ST. Pathology, 324 was the closing rank cutoff for general. No seat for EWS. 821 was the closing rank cutoff for OBC. 4876 was the closing rank cutoff for SC, and no seat for ST. For psychiatric medicine, 353 was the closing rank cutoff for general, no seat at all for EWS and OBC. 3801 was the closing rank cutoff for SC, and no seat at all for ST. For general surgery, 114 was the closing rank cutoff for general category. 421 was the closing rank cutoff for EWS. 303 was the closing rank cutoff for OBC. No seat at all for SC and ST. For radiation, Oncology, no seat for general. 1422 was the closing rank cutoff for EWS. 919 was the closing rank cutoff for OBC. 4667 was the closing rank cutoff for SC, and 8539 was the closing rank cutoff for ST. For regular diagnosis, 35 was the closing rank cutoff for general, no seat for EWS. 105 was the closing rank cutoff for OBC. 781 was the closing rank cutoff for SC, and no seat for ST. So these were all the branches in January, INICET January 2021 session in Jipmer, Puducherry, and this was the cutoff for all the respective branches. See, in branches, when I said that there were no seat in, sometime I said that there were no seat for the particular category, that doesn't mean that in July session also there were no seats. There are seats in the branches available in the, there are seats available for the branches. So this time when July session will start, the July session counseling will start, there will be a different seat matrix where you can find that some seats could be available for those categories which were not available in January session. So there are chances. So that's all for Jipmer, Puducherry. As I said, that for other colleges, for other institutes under INICET, if you wanted to check the cutoffs, closing rank for January 2021, you can just navigate to the previous videos, or else you can just check the description box. You will get all the links over there. Thank you so much.